Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1407, Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont. Today, it is the wonderful Disgruntled Fiddle Player. He's so disgruntled, so mad. Because he played the fiddle for a long time, and he got mad at the fiddle, and he broke the fiddle over someone's head. Might have been the Brewmaster. He's also going to be here.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And Benita the Rodeo Queen, the characters of Cafe Anyway, where we are located somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
At the last place on earth, I've spent an interesting evening with a person who gave me a very warm greeting. I used to be married to his sister, but that was long ago, and now we're just friends. His name is Jesse, don't you know? And he, don't you know? Wow, I went all Fargo.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I have a Fargo drop somewhere, but I probably won't find it ever.
You darn tootin'.
Too bad.
Mike's
So that's
Daily
what happened
Podcast.
yesterday. I went to San Francisco, where he and his fiance have just moved into a house. And I saw the house and walked around and was amazed and stunned. And it was an area of San Francisco I'd never really explored before. And then we went down to the Mission and drank at a dive bar. Of course, they don't accept credit cards at the dive bar. Look who just walked in, because it's San Francisco, and we don't accept credit cards anywhere in San Francisco, jerks. Have I told you how I don't like San Francisco lately? That's just... And then we ate at a wonderful, wonderful restaurant that, as all restaurants in San Francisco, is overpriced, but it was very good. Hey, look who walked in. Hi, Mark! It's Benita the Rodeo Queen! How you doing?
As a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
What? You went to San Francisco. That is the bastion of liberals.
The bastion of liberals?
Bastion. Bastion of liberals.
Yeah, there's a lot of liberals in San Francisco. I don't think I saw any. I saw a lot of tattooed up people. People that waste entirely too much money on ink being injected into their skin, their epidermic layer. But that, whatever. Look who else walked in.
Oh, Mike, I make the delicious root beer. How's the root beer?
I would love some.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I'm pouring it for you now. Oh, boy. Drink it or I'll cut you.
All right, I'll have some. Wonderful. The podcast picture today is of someone else who walked in just as you did, Brewmaster. I think you guys used to date.
Hello, Matthews. It's Shelly Stewart, the chef supervisor. Yeah, I dated the Brewmaster a long time ago, and also Valentino, the parking attendant.
Just didn't work out.
No, Mike Matthews, they're like, shalom. Shalom.
Wow, your voice got so deep, Shelly.
Shalom. I know, I don't know why that's happening.
Well, it's a beautiful voice. It's robust. It's husky. I love it when women have husky voices.
Hi, and welcome to the all-night jazz show. I'm your host, Bernadette. Tonight I'm going to play you some Dave Koz, some Kenny G. Maybe we'll get to some Diana Krall.
What the? I'm so sad because... Wake up. I'm so sad because Haley is going to be leaving where I work at soon. He'll just be here on the weekends, and I won't see him on the weekends, so we're going to have to get together once in a while and get a coffee or something. Which is, it's that, I could look forward to that, because he and I, we were really only seeing each other at work, and we'd have a good time socializing here, and getting work done, but, you know, it's sad. Change is good. It'll be good for him. He's going back to school, so. One thing my brother-in-law does, back to him, if we jump around a little bit, ex-brother-in-law, is that's what Jesse is, my ex-brother-in-law. And he said to me, he said, you need to go get some strange. And I'm like, strange? Why do I want the strange kind? I mean, I'd like the pretty kind, but not the strange. I don't know. But he said to go get some strange through a dating app of some kind. And when people say that to me, I suddenly get that feeling of when you're watching a movie and it's a scary movie and the main character suddenly realizes that everything that they knew was completely different from what reality was, and they do that effect where they're zooming in but panning out at the same time, and it makes that weird effect like you're getting close to something and far away at the same time. They usually do it in a hallway. Is this making any sense? At any rate, it made me stop and take stock, and maybe I do need to get some of that, but I just really have had no time lately. And I just don't want to get into a situation where that ends up being bad. I had a bad experience with dating apps. Just bad, so whatever. Something to think about, I guess. Food for thought. That's what your friends do. Make you think about things, right? Anyway. Cafe anyway. And we discussed a couple other things. I'll have to get to that in next shows. In shows that will come up, hopefully thusly. What? Hey, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com is the wonderful website where you can go and help out the show through the Amazon link. Oh yeah, that's the other thing he likes to tell me. He likes to talk about how old my dog is, and he's obsessed with my dog's impending death. I don't know. I'm hoping that doesn't happen soon, but he's always, yeah, your dog's old. Your dog's so old. He's been saying that for years. Even when Basil was young, he was like, yeah, your dog is old. He's going to die soon. And you know what? Basil is ripping off my arm right now. He couldn't be further from death, so we'll just remain positive on that point. At any rate, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Any way you want to wait. Any way you want it, that's the way you get it. Any way you need it. MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And then there's the Amazon link there. If you're going to shop on Amazon, buy anything on that, go through that link. And there's also the PayPal. If you'd like to help us out that way, you'll become an inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster, and all shall be well. And all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And now we get to a wonderful segment called
Wow Schatz Wow.
That's what my mom says when I tell her something surprising. She goes, Wow Schatz Wow. Because she's German, and they say Schatz then. Basically, all I'm saying is check out MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Let's zoom through a couple things. First off, this story that Donald Trump has become increasingly frustrated with his advisors tasked with crafting a new U.S. military strategy in Afghanistan, and recently suggested firing the war's top military commander during a tense meeting at the White House. During the July 19th meeting, Trump repeatedly suggested that James Mattis, the defense secretary and chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff, Joseph Dunford, replace General John Nicholson, the commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, because he is not winning the war. He's not winning. And we only have winners.
Winning. You know what else? You're a big winner tonight. You're a big winner.
Trump has not met Nicholson, and the Pentagon has been considering extending his time in Afghanistan. Over nearly 2 hours in the Situation Room, Trump complained about NATO allies, inquired about the United States getting a piece of Afghans' mineral wealth, and repeatedly said the U.S. general there should be fired. And Trump is the third president to grapple with the war in Afghanistan. On Wednesday, 2 American troops were killed in Afghanistan when a convoy they were in came under attack. This according to NBC News. Carol E. Lee and Courtney Cube wrote that. And then those calls to Trump, the White House admits they didn't happen, according to the New York Times. And Julie Hirschfeld Davis said that President Trump told you about the time the head of Boy Scouts called to say his was the best speech ever delivered to the more than century-old organization? What about when the president of Mexico picked up the telephone to let him know that his tough enforcement efforts at the border were paying off handsomely? Those anecdotes, both of which Trump told last week, were similar in that they appeared to be efforts to showcase broad support for him, whilst the White House has been mired in turmoil, but they also had another thing in common. Neither of them were true. Neither of them were true, and the White House conceded that yesterday. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the press secretary, confirmed at her daily briefing that the Boy Scouts and the Mexican government had already asserted publicly neither phone call, she said, that Mr. Trump referred to had occurred, which the Boy Scouts and Mexican government had already said publicly. But she said they weren't fabrications. Multiple members of the Boy Scouts leadership had praised Trump's speech in West Virginia after he finished last week. And Mr. Trump and President Enrique Peña Nieto of Mexico had discussed broader enforcement last month on the sideline of the Group 20 summit in Hamburg, Germany, she added. Okay, well, did you know, according to The Hollywood Reporter, that 2 years ago, before he was sworn in as president, Donald Trump was set to step into the same role in a very different capacity. He was signed on to play the president in 2015's Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no. Producer's first choice was Sarah Palin, but negotiations all fell through. That's when Ian Ziering, the gung-ho star of the schlocky sci-fi franchise, had the inspiration to capitalize on the special relationship he developed with Trump while taping Celebrity Apprentice. He made it, I guess, as far as the penultimate task on that show. His reality TV boss would make a good commander-in-chief. Donald said yes, said David Latt, the 51-year-old co-founder of the Asylum, the off-brand assembly line behind the Sharknado series. Oh, they're the ones to blame. But it never happened. Trump says he never called the White House a dump. This according to The Hill. Max Greenwood writes that Trump yesterday denied that he ever told members of his golf club in New Jersey that the White House is a real dump. I love the White House, one of the most beautiful homes I have ever seen, Trump tweeted. But fake news said I called it a dump. Totally untrue. What's up with the fake news? Going after Trump, and Trump having to say over and over again, wrong. Global smartphone sales saw a modest decline, or a Midas decline. It's fun flipping letters around. In the second quarter of 2017, Samsung and Apple consolidated their positions. The South Korean giant Samsung maintaining the top spot by delivering some 79.8 million handsets. And they got 23.3% of the market share. Apple held on to the number 2 spot with 12%. Both slightly increased their market share compared with a year earlier. Now, Huawei was the third largest vendor. The Chinese electronics giant closed the gap with Apple with 19.6% unit sales growth. Yeah, okay. And then there's a bunch of other brands I never heard of. Speaking of technology, it was on this date in 1977, yes, 500 years ago today, that Tandy announced one of the first mass-market home computers, the TRS-80, which we called as kids the Trash 80, to be sold in its Radio Shack stores. It featured 4K of RAM and sold for $400. It sold for $600 with a monitor and tape recorder for storage. Yes, you used to have to save all your data on tape recorders, and it took for freaking ever, and you saved like maybe one, like the word I just said, that's what it could save in 12 hours of saving stuff. It was slow, my friend, and it sucked, and it was the whole reason why I hated computers as a kid. I'm like, who cares? I could get more out of a refrigerator. It's the exact quote I made. as a kid, and then I went to the refrigerator and promptly got fat as bleep. The trash 80 models were on the market all the way till 1991, believe it or not. And finally, as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. And I have to tell you, I don't cuss on this show. If you didn't, that's why we have a clean label on the show. Dolores del Rio is being honored today in the Google Doodle. She was an American actress, a Mexican actress. She was the first major female Hispanic or Spanish lineage crossover star in Hollywood, with a career in American films in the 20s and 30s, and she was beautiful. She was also considered one of the more important female figures of the golden age of Mexican cinema in the 40s and 50s. She is remembered as one of the most beautiful faces of the cinema in her time. Her long and varied career spanned silent film, sound film, television, stage, and even radio. Silent films, she was just everywhere, and she at one time had a relationship with Orson Welles. In 1940, she met and fell in love with Orson Welles and sought a divorce from her husband, at the time MGM art director Cedric Gibbons. After her death, actor Vincent Price used to sign his autographs as Dolores del Rio. When asked why, he replied, "I promised Dolores on her deathbed that I would not let people forget about her." She died from liver disease in 1983 in Newport Beach, California, at the age of 78. And her ashes are interred at the Dolores Cemetery in Mexico City, Mexico. Now, an interesting side note, the day that her remains were interred at that cemetery was the same day she had been asked and invited, I guess months earlier, to appear at the next Academy Awards telecast. But, oh well. So, yeah, and they've got a lovely tribute to her, like a statue at the cemetery in Mexico City. And that's the end of the show. All things must come to an end, but we can only make the most and the best of the time that we have, right? And hopefully my dog will be around a long time, and there will be more time to enjoy him, but you never know, right? So just enjoy every second, right? And stop saying right. Next show, it is going to be the wonderful, what's that thing guy person? Valentino will be here, and Bison Bentley, as well as Madame Rootabega. Come back, won't you, for the next show? I will try to as well.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!